If it becomes your habit to think about a person, understand that three things are happening to you, and each one has the power to change the direction of your life. We often underestimate the influence that one person can have on our mind, our energy, and our emotional landscape. Yet the moment someone begins to occupy your thoughts again and again, it is a sign that something far deeper is unfolding within you. The first thing that begins to happen is awareness. Whether you realize it or not, your soul is trying to tell you something about this person. They may have awakened a part of you that you didn't even know was asleep. A memory, a desire, a longing, a lesson. When someone repeatedly appears in your thoughts, it is a signal that they hold meaning, even if that meaning is not yet clear. Your intuition is tapping you on the shoulder saying, pay attention. The second thing that happens is reflection. Thoughts about a person can mirror something within you, your fears, your wounds, your dreams, or your unspoken truth. Sometimes you think of someone because you miss them. Sometimes because you want closure. Sometimes because they represent the kind of person you aspire to be, or the type of love you've been seeking but never admitted out loud. And sometimes you think of them because they showed you a part of yourself that you needed to see. They become a mirror, revealing what you have been avoiding, suppressing, or running from. And the third thing that happens is transformation. When one person occupies your mind consistently, it often means you are being called to grow. Maybe you are being prepared to reconnect. Maybe you are being guided to let go. Maybe you are being pushed to heal. Maybe you are being invited to forgive them or yourself. Or maybe you are simply being shown the next step of your emotional journey. The people who stay in our thoughts the longest are often the ones who shaped us the most, even if they were only in our lives for a short time. So if someone keeps coming into your mind, don't ignore it. Don't brush it aside. Sit with it. Ask yourself what this person represents. Ask what they awaken in you. Ask what your heart is trying to communicate. Thoughts are not accidents. They are messengers. Some people arrive to teach you love, some arrive to teach you strength, and some arrive to teach you who you are without them. When it becomes a habit to think about someone, it means a lesson is unfolding, a truth is emerging, and a version of you is waiting to rise. Honor that, lean into that. Let it guide you, because life has a way of whispering before it ever speaks clearly. And sometimes that whisper comes in the shape of a person you just can't stop thinking about. When a person continues to appear in your thoughts again and again, it is rarely a coincidence. It is a quiet internal signal that something deeper is happening within you. The mind does not cling to someone without reason. The heart does not return to a memory unless it carries weight. And the soul does not whisper without purpose. When someone stays present in your thoughts, the truth is that your intuition is trying to communicate with you. It is guiding you gently. It is asking you to pay attention to what this person represents in your life. Often this kind of mental repetition is the first sign that something meaningful is unfolding beneath the surface. You may not be fully aware of it yet, but your deeper self is already sensing it. You must understand that the human mind is not random. It does not hold on to thoughts for no reason. Every thought is a message. Every message has a direction. And when a specific person shows up repeatedly in your inner world, it is because they are tied to something important. It could be a lesson. It could be a memory that still needs healing. It could be a desire that you have ignored. It could be a feeling that you have suppressed. Or it could be a sign that this person has an emotional or spiritual significance in your life. Whatever the reason, one thing is certain. The presence of this person in your thoughts is intentional. Your intuition is always speaking to you. Sometimes it speaks softly. Sometimes it speaks through emotion. Sometimes it speaks through sudden clarity. And sometimes it speaks through the consistent appearance of a person in your mind. When this happens, do not brush it aside. Do not assume it means nothing. That repeated thought is a whisper from within, that is a nudge that invites you to slow down and observe your inner landscape. It is a reminder that your feelings are trying to guide you toward truth and understanding. Many people underestimate the power of inner signals. They think their thoughts are simply habits. They believe their mind is wandering without purpose. But the mind is wise, the heart is wiser, and the soul is the wisest of all. When someone repeatedly comes into your thoughts, there is always a reason. Maybe this person awakened a part of you that had been asleep for too long. Maybe they reminded you of the kind of love or connection you truly desire. Maybe they triggered emotions you thought you had already healed. Or maybe they entered your life to help you grow in ways you had not imagined. There are moments when a person appears in your thoughts not because of who they are, but because what they represent. They may symbolize a chapter of your life that shaped you. They may carry the energy of an unfinished story. They may hold the key to a truth you are ready to face. Or they may be the bridge between who you were and who you are becoming. When this happens, your intuition tries to draw your attention toward them. It wants you to explore the feeling rather than ignore it. You must remember that intuition never forces, it whispers, it suggests, it guides. And when someone occupies your thoughts with steady repetition, it is the whisper of awareness. It is the sign that your inner self is urging you to understand the meaning behind this mental presence. This is why it is important to listen, sit with the feeling, reflect on the emotion, allow your heart to speak without resistance. When you do that, the message becomes clearer, the guidance becomes stronger, and the reason this person appears in your thoughts will eventually reveal itself. Persistent thoughts about a person often act as a reflection of your inner world. When someone keeps appearing in your mind, it is not only about who they are, it is also about what they awaken within you. The human mind carries layers of memories and feelings that are not always visible on the surface. Yet certain people have the ability to stir these hidden layers. They become reminders of your fears. They become reminders of your desires. They become reminders of the parts of yourself that you have forgotten or avoided. When a person repeatedly shows up in your thoughts, your inner self is using their image to reflect something back to you. Sometimes you think of someone because they brought joy into your life. Their presence may have made you feel valued. Their energy may have inspired you. They may have shown you a version of yourself that you loved. In that case, your thoughts reflect the longing for warmth, the longing for connection, the longing for an experience that touched your heart. And this longing teaches you about your own emotional needs. It reminds you of the type of love and presence you want around you. Other times you think of a person because they hurt you. They may have left without closure. They may have said words that stayed with you. They may have broken trust that you never expected to break. When you think of them again and again, it is not because you are weak, is that it is because your heart is still trying to make sense of the pain. The thought becomes a reflection of the wound that has not healed yet. It becomes a mirror showing you that something within you still needs attention. It still needs care. It still needs release. People also reflect your dreams. You may think of someone because they represent a path you want to walk. Their courage may reflect the strength you wish to build. Their passion may reflect the purpose you want to pursue. Their kindness may reflect the type of character you admire. In this way, the person becomes a symbol. They reflect the qualities that you desire to grow within yourself. They inspire you to rise. They inspire you to reach for more. There are moments when a person shows up in your thoughts because they mirror something you fear. They may remind you of rejection. They may remind you of vulnerability. They may remind you of the risk of opening your heart. The repeated thought becomes a reflection of hesitation that lives within you. It reveals what you are afraid to face. It reveals what you need to confront so you can grow emotionally stronger. Reflection is not always comfortable, yet it is always necessary. Sometimes you think of someone because they represent a truth you are avoiding. You may see them in your mind because they showed you a part of yourself that you did not want to acknowledge. That maybe they saw your potential before you believed in it. Maybe they called out your patterns when you were not ready to accept them. Maybe they challenged you to grow and you resisted it. The thought returns because the truth remains unfinished. It returns because your deeper self wants you to face what you once ran from. Reflection is the mind holding up a mirror. It allows you to understand yourself through the presence of another person. When someone becomes a consistent thought, the mirror becomes clearer. You begin to see what you truly feel. You begin to see what you truly desire. You begin to see where you are hurt. And you begin to see what parts of yourself are ready for transformation. The person in your mind is not always the message. Sometimes they are simply the messenger, and what they reflect is the story that you must understand within yourself. When one person continues to appear in your thoughts with steady repetition is often a sign that transformation is taking place within you. You may not recognize the shift in its early stages. You may even try to ignore the thought or push it aside. Yet the mind keeps bringing this person back because something inside you is evolving. Thoughts are not accidents. They are signals that your inner world is trying to change. When a person becomes a recurring thought, it often means that life is preparing you for growth that you cannot fully see yet. This transformation may be emotional, it may be spiritual, it may be mental, but it is always meaningful. Transformation begins quietly. It does not announce itself. It whispers through feelings. It whispers through memories. It whispers through the sudden appearance of a person you cannot stop thinking about. Sometimes this happens because you need healing. A wound that has been buried deep inside you is trying to rise to the surface. The thought of this person becomes a doorway to that healing. You may feel pain, you may feel confusion, you may feel longing, but each emotion carries the power to release what has held you back. Transformation requires that you face what you once avoided, and the repeated thought guides you toward that moment. Other times, transformation happens because you are being prepared to let go. A person may show up in your thoughts not because they belong in your future, but because you are learning how to release them with acceptance. You may still hold on to memories. You may still feel the weight of what happened. You may still wish things had unfolded differently, but the thought returns so that you can close the chapter with clarity rather than resistance. Growth often requires letting go, and letting go often begins with understanding why someone still occupies space in your mind. There are moments when the transformation is not about healing or releasing. It is about awakening. A person may stay in your thoughts because they represent a new version of you that is trying to emerge. Perhaps they showed you a type of love or connection that you were afraid to believe in. Perhaps they inspired you to dream bigger. Perhaps they made you see your own worth in a brighter light. Their presence in your mind becomes the spark that awakens something powerful within you. They become the guide that leads you toward a higher vision of your own life. Sometimes a person remains in your thoughts because they represent a turning point. They may have changed the way you see relationships. They may have shifted the way you see yourself. They may have challenged you to grow beyond limits you once accepted. Transformation often begins with a single person who touches your life in a way you cannot easily forget. And their impact becomes a catalyst for new insight, new decisions, new strength. You think of them not because you are stuck, but because a part of you is expanding. Transformation also happens when you realize that you are being called to forgive, not always the other person, sometimes yourself. The thought remains until you learn to release guilt, release regret, Release the weight of what you think you should have done. Forgiveness is one of the deepest forms of transformation. And the presence of this person in your mind becomes a reminder that your heart is ready to create space for peace. In every form, transformation is a process. It unfolds slowly. It reveals itself through repeated thoughts. It guides you through inner shifts that shape your future. When someone stays in your thoughts, it is because life is moving you from one emotional chapter to another. It is preparing you, strengthening you, teaching you, and shaping you into the person you are becoming. The presence of that thought is the first step in the journey toward a more awakened version of you. When a person continues to appear in your thoughts again and again, it means they are acting as a mirror for your inner truth. People often believe that their thoughts revolve around someone because of love or hurt or longing. Yet the mind does not always return to a person because of who they are. Sometimes it returns because of what they reveal about you. Every person you think about with repetition reflects something deeper within your heart. They become a mirror that shows you the parts of yourself that you have not fully understood. They reflect your patterns. They reflect your wounds. They reflect your dreams. They reflect your fears. And they reflect the lessons that life is asking you to learn right now. There are moments when someone reflects a part of your past that still influences you in the present. You may think of them because they remind you of a chapter that shaped you, a chapter that left you stronger, a chapter that left you wounded, or a chapter that still holds emotions that you never addressed. Their presence in your thoughts becomes a reflection of unfinished feelings. It becomes a sign that something inside you is trying to surface so that you can heal it or understand it or release it. Sometimes a person reflects your longing for connection. You think of them because they represent the presence or affection or understanding that you wish you had more of in your life. They show you that your heart still desires closeness, that it still desires to be seen, that it still desires to be valued. Their image becomes a reflection of your emotional needs, needs that may have been ignored, needs that may have been denied, needs that are now rising to remind you that you are worthy of deep and meaningful connection. Other times a person reflects your insecurities. You think of them because they awakened fear, the fear of losing someone, the fear of not being enough, the fear of opening your heart, the fear of trusting again. Their presence in your thoughts becomes a mirror showing you where you still doubt yourself, where you still hold pain, where you still carry old stories that limit your growth. The reflection may be uncomfortable, but it is necessary. It reveals the exact parts of your heart that are ready to be strengthened. There are moments when someone reflects your potential. You think of them because they inspire you, because their courage reminds you of your own, because their kindness reminds you of the person you wish to be, because their success reminds you of dreams you have not pursued yet. In this way, they become the mirror of possibility. You see in them what you want to grow within yourself. Their presence in your thoughts becomes the spark that pushes you to rise, to do better, to believe more deeply in your own abilities. Sometimes a person reflects the truth you tried to avoid. You may have been running from a feeling, running from a decision, running from a realization that required honesty and change. But the thought of them pulls you back to that truth. It refuses to let you ignore what your heart already knows. They become a living reflection of the direction life wants you to take, even if that direction feels heavy or confusing. The reflection continues until you finally face it. When a person acts as a mirror, you are not meant to judge the reflection. You are meant to understand it. You are meant to learn from it. Every repeated thought is an invitation to look inward, to see what needs healing, to see what needs release, to see what needs to grow. The person is only the surface. The reflection beneath them is the true message. And when you understand that message, you unlock a deeper awareness of yourself. You discover what your heart has been trying to show you. You discover the truth behind the thought. And you discover the next step in your emotional journey. When a person stays in your thoughts again and again, it often means that something inside you is still unresolved. You may believe you have moved on. You may believe you have closed the chapter. You may believe you have healed or forgotten or accepted what happened. Yet the mind does not bring someone back without purpose. When a thought returns in a steady and persistent way, it is often because your heart is trying to guide you toward healing or closure or forgiveness. The presence of that person in your mind becomes a signal that something within you still needs attention. It is a quiet call asking you to look inward and not away. There are times when the unresolved emotion is pain. Pain that you buried, pain that you refused to acknowledge, pain that you hoped time would erase. But time does not heal unless the heart is willing to face the wound. When the thought of someone keeps returning, it may be because the wound they left behind is still open. You may feel sadness. You may feel anger. You may feel confusion. These feelings do not appear to weaken you. They appear to help you understand where healing is needed. Until the heart releases what it holds, the mind will continue to bring the person into your awareness. Sometimes the unresolved emotion is forgiveness, not forgiveness for the other person alone, but forgiveness for yourself. You may think of them because you regret something you said, or something you did not say, or something you allowed, or something you ignored. The thought returns because your heart wants peace, and peace cannot grow where guilt still lives. Forgiveness is not about rewriting the past. It is about releasing the weight that keeps you tied to it. The presence of this person in your mind may be the signal that you are ready to free yourself from the emotional burden you have carried for too long. There are moments when the unresolved emotion is longing, a longing for closure, a longing for understanding, a longing for a final conversation that never happened. When a connection ends without clarity, the heart often remains suspended in questions. Why did it happen? What was the meaning? What should have been different? When these questions remain unanswered, the person stays in your thoughts like an unfinished sentence. Your mind keeps returning to them because your heart still seeks the ending it never received. Sometimes the unresolved emotion is love, not always romantic love. Sometimes it is the love of gratitude, the love of appreciation, the love of a lesson learned. You think of them because they shaped you in ways you still feel today. You think of them because their presence changed you. You think of them because they touched your life even if they did not stay in it. Unresolved love is not a weakness. It is a sign that your heart still holds meaning in its deepest places. There are times when the unresolved emotion is fear. Fear of repeating the past. Fear of trusting again. Fear of opening your heart and being hurt. When a person keeps returning to your thoughts, they may represent the part of you that still feels fragile, the part of you that still remembers the pain, the part of you that still doubts your strength. The thought is not there to frighten you. It is there to help you understand where you need to build courage. Unresolved emotions do not disappear. They wait. They wait for you to be ready. And when you begin to think about someone repeatedly, is a clear sign that the waiting has ended. It means your heart is finally prepared to face what it has avoided, to acknowledge what it feels, to release what holds you back, and to create space for healing and clarity. The thought is not a mistake. It is guidance. It is your inner self showing you the path toward emotional freedom. And when you follow that path, you discover the peace that your heart has been seeking. So when a person continues to appear in your thoughts again and again, do not dismiss it. Do not assume it is random or meaningless. understand that your mind and your heart and your soul are all speaking to you through their presence. They are showing you what needs attention. They are reflecting what is hidden. They are guiding you toward growth and healing and transformation. Every thought is a message. Every memory is a lesson. And every repeated presence is an invitation to understand yourself more deeply. Take the time to listen. Take the time to reflect. Take the time to honor what is being revealed, because the person you cannot stop thinking about may not be the most important thing in your life. The most important thing is what they are helping you discover about yourself. And when you embrace that truth, you step into a life of clarity and strength and peace that no one can take away from you.